When I was 5 years of age, I suffered a very severe head injury, and as part of treatment for the head injury, I was prescribed some medication, which ultimately led to problems later on in life. I started to see the world very differently to my peers and to my siblings and to my parents and to adults in general. While my siblings and my friends were reading the Beano and the Dandy comics, I would be reading the Encyclopedia Dictionary. I ended up with a fascination for words, and I struggled because I was very curious, I was very inquisitive, and because I'd been labelled as a trouble causer from so many teachers for asking so many questions, that basically just disillusioned me so much that I started playing truant. Despite my truancy at school, I always made sure that I attended my English classes. And my English teacher, who was a wonderful woman, she recognised something in my writing. And she said to me, Peter, she said, if you knuckle down and tried a little harder, she said, you could write a book one day. I almost laughed in her face because I was young and rebellious. And it was, in hindsight, the greatest compliment that any person's ever given me. I spontaneously started writing poetry, and the poetry was a vehicle for me to offload the thoughts and the feelings that I was experiencing as a 14-year-old, very insecure, very shy, very depressed. The antidepressants that was being prescribed were not doing very much for my depression. The writing, that was doing a hell of a lot for my depression. And I've never stopped writing poetry. I've never probably written over 10,000 poems in my life. By the time I was 18, I became very popular, face behind the bars in Heywood, and I worked in almost every busy drinking establishment in the centre of Heywood. And up until 18 years of age, I had no idea who Pete Wilky was. So I acquired this persona. And it was a persona that had resided deep within me. And an old saying that I once coined in one of my poems, some people are born to stand out, and those who are born to stand out will never fit in. Those who fit in will never stand out. And I was one of them people that stood out. But I further flourished when I got involved in the mod scene. There was this dichotomy of flamboyance matched with cool. So this expression, I wasn't trying too hard and I wasn't failing. Over the span of 15 years, I went from being an unknown person to being someone who was almost nationally recognisable on social media and such likes. I wasn't famous, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to claim to be famous. That I was the epitome of what the whole mod scene was about. I've got charisma. I would have had a bucket full, and I can't do nothing about that. I could do something about that. I could become the person that I was prior to being 17 years of age. There's a very fine line between confidence and arrogance, and I am very much on the side of confidence. And there's nobody on this planet that could ever take away my confidence, and many have tried, but they fail every time. And this is what it's always been about, proving myself, having confidence in my own personality, my own demeanour, my own fashion sense, my own writing. That's where Pete Wilky projects itself to the world. So because of some of the things that I was writing on social media, a friend of mine contacted me up and asked me if I fancied writing a book. And he basically opened my Pandora's box. He inspired me to write the first book, The Difference Make. And one of the people that we involved in the first book was a guy called John Hellier. He then asked me to write the Pete Meaden biography. And since then, I have self-published a number of poetry books. So I have 7 poetry books in total. And then I've started writing my first novel. To hold a book that you've spent 14 months, 16 months writing, second to my daughter being born, is the most rewarding feeling that I've ever had. That's mine. I made that. Creativity for me is the ability to create something from nothing. That's how the art came about as a result of, I wonder if I could paint something like that. Turns out I could. I love that fluidity. I love that. Where on earth does this stuff come from out of my mind? And we create something so visual and some emotive. That's what makes humanity the most amazing creature on earth. I've got a white canvas. I will turn that white canvas into something beautiful and something visually appealing. If it's a page, I've got a blank page, and I know that I can, from my own imagination, put words onto pages, and then pages mean something. And if you put your effort and your time into it, you have got no obstacle in this world, in this universe, that could ever be put into you that you cannot surmount. I see the world in such a way, but it's taken a long road to get to my freedom. I'm 57 years of age, and it's very, very, very liberating, because I've been my own prisoner for far too long, and I refuse to be a prisoner no more. If you've got any questions as to who Pete Wilkinson is, I will show you who I am. I'm not in the world to be liked. I'm here to be me.